Okay, hi guys, good evening. Welcome to yet another guided newspaper practice class. Just give me a message on the chat box to let you know that you're here. Saurabh, hi, and anybody else who's here, please just let me know on the chat so that I can acknowledge your presence. Okay, okay, all right. Uh, Anybody else who wants to let me know that they're there? Okay, okay, great. So today's article is about procrastination, something that is very relatable to all of us, something that we end up doing in order to avoid a certain activity, right? Amanda, hi, good evening. You attend all our classes regularly. Okay. Okay. So let's get started with the usual ritual. What are we going to do? I will read this article aloud for you, and then you're going to understand this in detail along with me, and then we'll do some guided speaking, and then we'll do guided writing. Okay, as in I'll make you write sentences from the words that we learned today. Okay, hi Pratiksha, good evening, and everybody else who's joining in right now, good evening. Okay, let's get started then. Just pay attention to what I am reading right now. Okay, all right. uh, be honest. Do you struggle in getting things started or completed? Uh, I'll get to it, yet you find yourself binge watching an entire season of Bridgerton instead. You're not alone. According to Psychology Today, procrastination is a common human tendency. For the occasional offender, finding the willpower to buckle down and power through is usually enough to boost productivity and focus on accomplishing the task at hand. But while everyone may procrastinate, not everyone is a procrastinator, says Joseph Ferrari, a psychology professor at DePaul University, leading researcher on the subject and author of Still Procrastinating: No Regrets Guide to Getting It Done. Ferrari says we all put tasks off, but his research found that 20% of US men and women are chronic procrastinators. It has really nothing to do with time management, he says. As I tell people, to tell the chronic procrastinator to just do it would be like saying a chronically depressed person, cheer up. Psychologists have discovered that procrastination isn't a time management thing, but instead a coping mechanism. When we procrastinate, we're avoiding an unpleasant task and doing something else that gives us a temporary mood boost. Timothy Spykill, a professor who studies procrastination at Carleton University in Ottawa, calls this avoidance behavior giving in to feel good. But the shame and guilt of not doing what we should be doing can make us procrastinate even further, creating a vicious, self defeating cycle. And what makes procrastination so harmful is that the tasks don't go away. Eventually, you're left with the tasks to complete, the negative emotions again, plus the added stress of a time constraint. Like Ferrari, Peichel agrees that procrastination isn't a time management problem. It is about really dealing with our feelings. Emotional regulation, to me, is the real story behind procrastination because, to the extent that I can deal with my emotion, I can stay on task, says Peichel. So what's a chronic procrastinator to do? The next time you don't feel like doing something, try these three tips. I'll probably show you these three tips. We won't have the time to do that actually. Acknowledge why you've been avoiding it. Forgive yourself for procrastinating and just get started. Okay. A lot of advice coming up to you, but all we want to focus on is getting this article and understanding this article actually. Right? So, how many of you found the article easy to understand? Just give me a yes if you found this easy. Okay, good, good. Saurabh, nice. Okay. All right. Amanda, Pratiksha, that's nice. All right. Okay. All right then. So let's understand this article in detail. Okay, let's do it word by word. Yeah, this is easy to some extent because we know the content and we know exactly what they're trying to say with this content, right? Okay, so let's get started. Be honest. Do you struggle in getting things started? Good phrasal verb. Getting things started or completed. Okay. Do you tell yourself, I'll get to it? Again, as in you will start doing it, yet find yourself binge watching an entire season of Bridgerton instead. Binge watching, something that you do continuously, you consume continuously without having the guilt. You are not alone. According to Psychology Today, procrastination, as in the act of putting off things to another time, is a common human behavior for the occasional offender, as in someone who offends or someone who puts off things, postpones things occasionally, not regularly. Okay, so someone who does not postpone things, finding the willpower to buckle down and power through. Okay, as in getting yourself ready to do this is usually enough to boost productivity. For example, you don't want to do a certain work assigned to you. You are having that willpower to do it and you're getting ready, preparing yourself to do it. And this is, if you're not someone who is a procrastinator, is usually enough to boost productivity and focus on accomplishing the task at hand, right? So that's what these particular people do. But while everyone may procrastinate, not everyone is a procrastinator, as in not everybody keeps delaying tasks just because they want to. Okay, so this person who's a psychology professor says this. Ferrari says we all put tasks off. Okay, phrasal verbs coming in today. Put tasks off, as in postpone them. But his research found that 20% of US men and women are chronic procrastinators, someone who have this problem in a very severe degree. That's chronic. Okay, all right. So, very simple article until now, but just make sure you learned all the phrasal verbs. Put tasks off, power through, right? Get things done. All these are good words that you can use in your speaking test. Okay, moving ahead. It really has nothing to do with time management. So if you're someone who is postponing things, it's got nothing to do with your time management. As I tell people, to tell the chronic procrastinator to just do it, if I tell you to just do it despite you postponing it so many times, would be like saying to a clinically depressed person, cheer up. So someone who is really depressed, someone who is taking treatment for depression, if you tell him cheer up, it's no point telling that guy to cheer up, right? It's telling just do it to this category of people. So that's equivalent of this. Okay, now psychologists have discovered that procrastination isn't a time management thing, but instead a coping mechanism. What is coping mechanism? Something that you use to make yourself feel better. Cope with something, as in you do something to make yourself feel better. That's coping. When we procrastinate, we are avoiding an unpleasant task and doing something else that gives us a temporary mood boost. Now, for example, you have a lot of work left to do and you are putting that off to a later time, and you still think that scrolling through Instagram will make you feel better. This is what we do. That's when we procrastinate. It's not really that you don't have you don't really have time management issues. Okay, so this is what this professor says. Okay, now moving on to the next paragraph here. But the shame and guilt of not doing it, not doing what we should be doing, can make us procrastinate even further, right? So if you kind of feel guilty that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing right now, you are then creating a vicious self defeating cycle. Vicious, something that's ongoing. Okay? Self defeating, something that's not going to help you in the long run. And what makes procrastination so harmful is that the tasks don't go away. Okay, as in what should be done has to be done. There is no choice there. Eventually, you're left with tasks to complete, the negative emotions again, plus the added stress of a time constraint. Right? Got it? So, this is what the paragraph tells us. So, it tells us that you are left with certain tasks to complete and which are not done, which you're putting off for a long time, and you have the negative emotion, and then there is also the time pressure for you to complete the task. Right? Okay. Okay, next. So both these people agree that procrastination isn't a time management problem. It's about really dealing with our feelings. Emotional regulation, to me, is the emotional regulation, as in controlling your emotions, is the real story around procrastination. Because to the extent that I can deal with my emotions, I can stay on task, right? So if you are dealing with your emotions, negative emotions of not doing a certain task, you might as well just do that directly, right? So that's what this article is all about. Now, did you understand this completely? All of you? Amanda, Pratiksha, Saurabh, yes? Yeah? Okay, great. That's nice. All right. Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's get started with guided speaking then. Okay, and you're going to repeat these words with a little bit of exaggeration. Okay, not too much, but little bit of exaggeration there. Right? Just try to do this along with me. Please repeat the sentences in the same way that I am doing. Yeah? Okay, great. Let's get started. Be honest. Do you struggle in getting things started or completed? Do you tell yourself, I'll get to it, yet find yourself binge watching an entire season of Bridgerton instead? You are not alone. According to Psychology Today, procrastination is a common human tendency. For the occasional offender, finding the willpower to buckle down and power through is enough to boost productivity and focus on accomplishing the task at hand. All good until now? But while everyone may procrastinate, not everyone is a procrastinator, says Joseph Ferrari, a psychology professor at DePaul University. leading researcher on the subject, and author of Still Procrastinating, No Regrets Guide to Getting It Done. Ferrari says, we all put tasks off, but his research has found that 20% of US men and women are chronic procrastinators. Okay, moving ahead. It really has nothing to do with time management. He says, as I tell people, to tell the chronic procrastinator to just do it would be like saying to a clinically depressed person, cheer up. Okay. Psychologists have discovered that procrastination isn't a time management thing, but instead a coping mechanism. When we procrastinate, we are avoiding an unpleasant task and doing something else that gives us a temporary mood boost. Timothy Peikel, a professor who studies procrastination at Carleton University in Ottawa, calls this avoidance behavior giving in to feel good. Okay, did you do this along with me, all of you? This was a very interesting article, and I hope you guys did the speaking just as I did. Just give me a yes if you did it. Pratiksha, Amanda, Saurabh, if you're still there. Yes, you did it. Okay, good. Right. Okay, that's nice. Great. Well done. Manjot also is here. Right. Very well done. So let's do some writing now, okay, because I don't have words for you today that are fancy that can be used in your writing. I somehow feel that noting them down and using them in your speaking tests or doing your speaking reviews might help. Okay, but just some quick summary of all the words that we did today. Put tasks off, put something off to another time is to postpone something. We also learned some good phrasal verbs like power through, as in to do something with full power. Okay, and also coping mechanism is something that we learned as well, something that people use as as a reason to not do something, or something that people do to make themselves feel better, right? And also we learned offender, someone who breaks rules is called an offender. We also learned some good less common words, accomplishing, task at hand. These are good phrases as well. Okay, so let me just ask you this question, and I'll probably pin that because there are very less of you right now to have a lot of responses, but I will still pin that so that you can, anybody who's watching this as a recording can still find useful. So I'll probably use a speaking question. Okay. Do you think a lot of people today are procrastinating? And why is it that people procrastinate? So, do you think that people procrastinate? Why? That's the question. So, maybe give me a very short answer of, say, 2 to 3 sentences, and type that on the chat box here. Okay. Do you think that people procrastinate? Okay. And why do people do that? This is a part 3 question that you might be asked in your speaking test, right? Okay. Go ahead, give me your answers, all of you who are here. The question is, why do they do it? Yeah, that's the question. Go ahead. Right. Okay, fine. So while you type your responses, I will keep monitoring them offline. Please try answering these questions, because then you are able to think more fluently and you're getting ideas more fluently. Yeah? All right. So I'll see you again on Wednesday with another article. This was an interesting one. I had to pick this up because a lot of us are procrastinators. We put off something just because we don't find ourselves comfortable doing it at that moment, right? So don't be that person. Make sure in your IELTS preparation you're not this person whom this person describes. Okay, all right. So I'll see you on Wednesday 6 p.m. again. Until then, I hope you're following us on Telegram. If not, I will leave you the link. We also have a channel there. I hope you're following us on Instagram as well, about the Zoom classes that we're conducting every day. If you don't have that access, I will also leave the link to the Telegram channel here on the chat box or in the description of this video. Okay. If you are someone who wants to join our advanced programs, want to know what our paid programs look like, I'll leave you with the link of the admissions form as well. You can fill that form out and can just have a discussion with our counselors. Okay, Pratiksha has already given her sentence. Thanks, Pratiksha. And also, I hope the others given their responses. Okay, all right, then have a good Monday. Until then, just keep practicing until the next time. Okay, bye bye.